Level 1. The counter. You walk in with $9,000 in cash. You are 34. The money is yours. You slide a deposit slip across and the cashier counts it twice. She hands you a receipt. 40 minutes later, you do the same thing at a branch 2 miles away. Nothing happens. No alarm. No phone call. You are back in your car by 4. And on the only measure you were paying attention to, you were right. A currency transaction report is filed when more than $10,000 in cash crosses a counter in a single day. 9,000 is not more than 10,000. Neither deposit triggered one. The form everybody has heard of was never generated. That was never the form that mattered. There is a second report. It is called a suspicious activity report, and its threshold is not $10,000. It is $5,000, and the rule that governs it does not ask whether you crossed a line. It asks whether the bank has reason to suspect that a transaction is designed to evade the reporting requirements. In the regulator's own words, although such deposits do not require aggregation for currency transaction reporting, they nonetheless meet the definition of structuring. Read that twice. Staying under 10,000 is not a way of avoiding the report. In the eyes of the rule, it is the reason the other report exists, and you will not be told. Suspicious activity reports are confidential by law. The bank is not permitted to tell you one was filed. There is no letter, no flag on your statement, no change to your balance. So here is what level 1 actually looks like from the inside. You did a thing you had read was safe. It was not safe. It was recorded. And the system was polite about it. That is the most important thing about level 1, and it is the thing that will mislead you about every level above it. The system lets you leave with your money. It just did not tell you what it wrote down. The cost arrives about 18 months later, and it does not look like a crime at all. Your bank writes to say it is closing your account. The letter gives no reason. It is not required to give one. Your direct debits fail over the following month. You apply somewhere else and the application is declined, and that bank does not explain either. The third one says yes. The account it gives you is the kind that costs $11 a month. Nobody arrested you. Nobody charged you. You have simply become expensive to bank. And the cashier who counted your money twice did not decide any of that. She was not investigating you. She had a queue behind you and a drawer to balance at 5. She just wrote it down. That is the job. This is a documentary account of adjudicated cases and the public record around them. It is not instruction, and nothing in it is advice. Level 1 has a ceiling, and the ceiling is ownership. Everything you moved was yours. Nobody has to prove where it came from, because it came from you. Level 2 starts the moment the money belongs to somebody else. Level 2, the account. You are 26 and there is a message in your inbox about a job. Payment processing, remote, flexible. The company is expanding into your country and needs a local account to receive client funds, and you keep a percentage. Or it is not a job at all. It is somebody you have been talking to for 4 months and have never met. There is a problem with a transfer. It would only be for a week. Either way, the shape is identical. Money you did not earn arrives in an account with your name on it, and you move it on. And the account is the point, not you. The people sending it needed a name that had never been reported, attached to a bank that had no reason to look twice. You were the clean part. The Bureau has a word for you, and it is not victim, it is mule. And the exposure it lists is not one charge. It is mail fraud, wire fraud, bank fraud, money laundering, and aggravated identity theft. Whether you knew is a question for a jury, and it is a real question, and people do win it. It is also not the part that gets most people. The Bureau lists 3 costs that arrive whether or not anybody charges you. Your credit is damaged. The people you were working for hold your name, your date of birth, your account numbers, and a copy of your identification. They do not stop being criminals because you stopped answering, and you may be held personally liable for repaying the money the victims lost. Say that last one slowly. Not the money you kept, the money they lost. You held $11,000 for 6 days and forwarded it. You kept 400. The judgment is for 11,000. And when the case is a criminal one, the numbers stop being gentle. In the 12 months to September, 1,095 people were sentenced in the federal system for money laundering offenses. 89.8% of them went to prison. The average sentence was 62 months. Their average age was 43. And 73.8% of them had little or no prior criminal history. That is the number to hold on to. 3/4 of the people sentenced for this had never been in trouble before. This is not a population of career criminals. It is a population of people who had one bad year and an account. Level 2 has a ceiling too, and it is the same one it has always been. You are outside the bank. You can move money through the system, but you cannot see what the system is writing about you, and you cannot change it. Level 3 is a person who can. Level 3, the inside. Now you work there. You are 31 years old, and you are a retail employee at a bank in Flushing, New York. You are not an executive. You do not approve anything. What you have is a terminal, and on that terminal is every detail of every customer who walks through the door, which is worth money to somebody, and somebody finds you. That happened. His name was Edward Lowe, and this is what the Justice Department says he did. Between January and May of 2021, he took confidential customer information and passed it to people outside the bank. They used it to get into those accounts. The fraud that followed came to $484,572.16. For that, over those 5 months, he was paid $26,700. He left. He got a job at a different financial institution. And between May and August of 2022, he falsified records there to open an account for a shell company. That account was used for at least $47,000 more. He was paid for that too. He pleaded guilty in February of this year. He was sentenced on the 14th of July. 24 months. And here is where prison stops being an abstraction, because at 24 months, the Bureau of Prisons is doing arithmetic on you. It scores you. Offense severity, criminal history, history of violence, sentence length, time to release, detainers, age, education. The total decides where you sleep. 0 to 11 points is a camp. 12 to 15 is low security. 16 to 23 is medium. A camp has open dormitories and no perimeter fence. Low security has a fence with electronic detection and cubicles and controlled movement between buildings. The difference between those two lives is a handful of points on a form you will never fill in yourself. And the sentence is not the sentence. He was 31 when he was sentenced. He will be 33 when he leaves, with a federal fraud conviction. And there is a provision of federal banking law that bars anyone convicted of an offense involving dishonesty from working at an insured institution, not without written permission from the regulator. The job he sold the information from is the last banking job he will ever have. He is 33, and the entire industry he built a career in is closed. That is not part of the 24 months. That is what is waiting on the other side of it. Level 3's ceiling is what a terminal can see. Edward Lowe could read an account. He could not sign for one. Level 4 is a man who could. Level 4, the counter, again. You are 47 years old and you are an assistant store manager at a TD Bank branch in Manhattan. A customer comes in. He comes in a lot. He deposits cash. The amounts are large, and he wants official bank checks. And there is a box on the currency transaction report. In that box, you write down who is actually conducting the transaction. You put somebody else in it. His name was Wilfredo Aquino. Over roughly 2 years, the Justice Department says he processed approximately 1,680 official bank checks. The total across them was more than $92 million. He knew who the customer was. He never identified him as the conductor on the reports. In February of 2021, he pushed 3 transactions through a third party's account, almost $2 million. He concealed whose money it was. He was not paid in cash. He was paid in retail gift cards, just over $11,000 worth. He pleaded guilty in January. He was sentenced on the 15th of July, one day after Edward Lowe, 46 months. Sit with the arithmetic for a second, because it is the arithmetic the rest of this video is built on. $92 million moved through his window. He received $11,000 in gift cards. He received 46 months. For every $1,000 in gift cards, roughly 4 months of his life. 46 months is not a camp. It is nearly 4 years. Sentence length is one of the things the Bureau scores. A fraud conviction of that size does not designate the way a short one does. The fence, in his case, is real. He was 47 at sentencing. He is out in his early 50s. Assistant store manager was the top of a career he had spent decades building inside retail banking. It is now the thing that bars him from all of it. And he never chose the money. He processed it. He was handed cash by a customer, and he filled in a form incorrectly 1,680 times. That is the whole offense. A box, and the wrong name in it, and a stack of gift cards. That is Level 4's ceiling. Aquino could sign a check and blank a field. He could not decide whose money came through the door. Level 5 decided. Level 5, the network. The customer had a name, Dae-Ying Se, 43 years old, from Queens, and the people who worked for him called him David. Between 2016 and 2021, he moved $653.3 million. The Justice Department describes the source as narcotics and other illicit proceeds. He did not do it by being clever with software. He did it by finding the two men you just met. Between 2020 and 2021, he paid bank employees at least $57,000 in gifts. $57,000. That is the whole mechanism. That is what $653 million of movement cost him at the counter. Aquino's share of that was $11,000 in gift cards and 46 months. David pleaded guilty on the 22nd of February, 2022, to 3 counts. Conspiring to commit money laundering, which carries up to 10 years. Operating an unlicensed money-transmitting business, which carries up to 5. And corruptly giving something of value to an employee of a financial institution, which carries up to 30. Now, something worth noticing about the public record. The Justice Department announced in detail what he pleaded to. It announced what those 3 counts carry. What it published was the maximums. What he actually received is not in that release. And an absence of an announcement is not the same as an absence of a sentence, so this video will not pretend to know. But notice how much thinner the record gets as you climb. At Level 3 and Level 4, there is a press release with a man's age, his neighborhood, his job title, the exact cents in the fraud, the number of months. At Level 5, there is a name, 3 counts, and a set of ceilings. The higher you go, the fewer numbers have a person attached to them. Level 5's ceiling is that David still needed a counter. Every dollar of that $653 million had to pass a human being, somebody who chose to write the wrong name in a box. Level 6 is the institution that decided how closely anyone would ever look. Level 6, the bank. On the 10th of October, 2024, TD Bank pleaded guilty. It became the largest bank in the history of the United States to admit violating the Bank Secrecy Act. The Justice Department's number is exact, and it is worth hearing in full rather than rounded. $1,886,945,780.40. $452 million of that is forfeiture. $1.4 billion is a criminal fine, and 1 sentence in those filings sits above all the others. The bank instructed stores to stop filing internal unusual transaction reports on certain suspicious customers. Not failed to file. Not was too understaffed to file. Instructed. Go back to Level 1 for a second. The thing that quietly wrote you down when you walked in with $9,000. That layer. For certain customers, the institution that operated it switched it off on purpose. Its own employees described what that made the bank. Convenient. Convenient for criminals, in the words of its employees. The Justice Department's own assessment was that the flaws made TD Bank an easy target. So, Level 6, the largest guilty plea by a bank in American history, a fine measured to the cent, and a mechanism the filings describe as an instruction from above. Not one executive was charged. A United States senator wrote to the Justice Department about it 3 weeks later and called the charging decisions absurd legal gymnastics. Her argument was not that somebody deserved to suffer, it was structural. Until and unless those executives who presided over it are held accountable, she wrote, banks will continue to factor enforcement fines into the cost of doing business. And at Level 6, there is no Bureau of Prisons score, no offense severity points, no criminal history points, no time to release, no camp, no low security, no medium. There is no facility that holds a bank. A bank cannot be designated. It cannot be told where it will sleep or which side of an electronic fence it will spend 4 years on. The entire apparatus that measured Edward Lowe down to a handful of points has nothing to measure here. It has a number, $1.8 billion and 40 cents, and the bank paid it and opened the following Monday. So climb back down it. $9,000. Nothing happens except that banking becomes expensive. Somebody else's money through your account. You may owe the victims every dollar that passed through. $484,000 of fraud from a terminal. 24 months. $92 million in checks. 46 months. $653 million of narcotics proceeds. A plea and a set of published ceilings. $1.8 billion and nobody at all. The money multiplies by orders of magnitude at every step. The punishment does the opposite, and there is one more thing, and it is the reason this case is worth 20 minutes rather than a headline. $653 million moved. An institution instructed its own branches to stop writing things down, and out of all of it, the 2 people serving federal sentences are a retail employee from Flushing and an assistant store manager from Manhattan. One was paid $26,700. The other was paid in gift cards. Between them, they were paid less than a used car. Between them, they are serving 5 years and 10 months. Wilfredo Aquino was standing at a counter when he did it. So were you at Level 1. Same side of the same glass. The only difference between the top of this ladder and the bottom of it is that at the bottom, the system was polite to you. It was polite all the way up. It stopped being polite exactly once. At the 2 men who were paid the least. There is a companion to this one. How the money actually gets caught, level by level, from the teller to the border. It is the mirror image of what you just watched, and it is on the channel. Subscribe, and the next one lands 1 level at a time.